And welcome to Hannity. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the AIPAC conference earlier today, and the Israeli Prime Minister boldly declared that he has a, quote, moral obligation to speak up about the dangers facing his country. Now, this comes just 24 hours before he is set to address a joint session of Congress tomorrow.
My speech is not intended to show any disrespect to President Obama or the esteemed office that he holds. Israel has always been a bipartisan issue. Israel should always remain a bipartisan issue. For 2,000 years, my people, the Jewish people, were stateless, defenseless, voiceless. Today, we are no longer silent. Today, we have a voice. And tomorrow, as Prime Minister of the one and only Jewish state, I plan to use that voice.
Now, we'll have much more on Netanyahu's speech later in the program, but first, we want to lay out for you, our viewers, why there's such an icy relationship between Israel and the White House at this time. Now, ever since President Obama stepped foot in the Oval Office, he's constantly proven that he is not a friend to Israel. Now, let's go back to 2009, when President Obama, while in Cairo on his apology tour, remember, he said this:
"The United States does not accept the legitimacy of continued Israeli settlements. This construction violates previous agreements and undermines efforts to achieve peace. It is time for these settlements to stop."
Now, that clearly did not start his presidency off on the right foot, and unfortunately, that wasn't the only time that President Obama said that.
"We continue to emphasize that America does not accept the legitimacy of continued Israeli settlements."
Now, fast forward a few months later, and in March of 2010, Israel announced that it was building new settlements around Jerusalem, its capital. Vice President Joe Biden happened to be in the country at that time, and the administration, well, they were furious.
The announcement of the settlements the very day that the vice president was there was insulting. I mean, it was just really a very unfortunate and a difficult moment for everyone.
And from there, things got worse. Later that month, President Obama reportedly refused to be photographed with Netanyahu and walked out of a dinner that was meeting with the prime minister. Unbelievable. And then Obama took the idiotic foreign policy stance on Israel to the next level. Watch this.
"We believe the borders of Israel and Palestine should be based on the 1967 lines with mutually agreed swaps, so that secure and recognized borders are established for both states."
Now, the U.S. had promised Israel we would never take that position. The world was stunned, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who then met with President Obama behind closed doors for over 90 minutes. But our commander-in-chief couldn't keep his discuss with Netanyahu a secret. He was caught on open mic speaking with then-French President Nicolas Sarkozy about Israel. And according to reports, Sarkozy is quoted as saying, "I cannot bear Netanyahu. He's a liar." Obama's response: "You're fed up with him. I have to deal with him even more than you." And when tensions flared between the Palestinians and Israel last summer, well, the White House did not have Israel's back. Secretary of State John Kerry, he was caught on an open mic before an interview on Fox News Sunday, saying this about Israel trying to defend itself. Remember, thousands of rockets at the time were being fired into Israel.
"It's a hell of a pinpoint operation. It's a hell of a pinpoint operation."
Right. It's escalating really significantly, and it just underscores the need for ceasefire.
We've got to get over there.
All right, the administration, they may think that way, but I went to Israel. I saw firsthand last summer the expansive tunnel network that Hamas built to try and infiltrate Israel and kill its citizens. And the rockets, the Palestinians, they were firing at Israeli citizens, including children, near playgrounds. Now, the bottom line, this administration refuses to stand up for our strongest ally. And joining me now with reaction, White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer is with us, Democratic strategist Doug Schoen. Guys, good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. Would you agree with my analysis that relations with Israel have never been worse?
They have never been worse, but I would say today the fact that the Prime Minister, the President, and the UN ambassador all said they will survive this very, very sad incident is
agreed.
Good news.
I thought the Prime Minister was being very gracious,
he
Ari.
was. Absolutely
in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, there have been bad episodes before, but the problem here is they were with American presidents who tended to have Israel's back. In this case, you have a president who deliberately came into office saying that he wanted to put distance between himself and Israel. That way he can negotiate peace with the Arabs and be the man in the middle. What you have instead is a Middle East where both Arabs and Israelis really wonder about Barack Obama and the vacuums that he's created throughout the Middle East that have now been filled by the Muslim Brotherhood and by ISIS. The president's failure to act has led to a much more dangerous Middle East. That's the fear with Iran.
Right, let's juxtapose this history with Netanyahu and Israel and Obama and compare it to his comments on Islam. Let's just compare.
The United States is not and will never be at war with Islam. And I'm also proud to carry with me the goodwill of the American people and a greeting of peace from Muslim communities in my country. Assalamu alaikum. Islam is not part of the problem in combating violent extremism. It is an important part of promoting peace. Our enemies respect no religious freedom. Al-Qaeda's cause is not Islam. It's a gross distortion of Islam. The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.
Right. What do you make of that? And add to this, we have Obama political operatives right now on the ground in Israel trying to defeat Netanyahu. Biden and Kerry meet with Netanyahu's opponent. And you know where John Kerry is tonight? He's in Geneva. You know where he's meeting with? The Iranian foreign minister.
Let me take the first issue on, squarely and centrally. There is Islamic terror. There is no reason, no way that we should ignore that, forget it, or try to minimize it. And second, Sean, would you have ever thought that the Prime Minister of Israel would have a better relationship with the President of Egypt and the moderate Arab states than the United States of America?
Listen, Ari, I said this on radio today, I'll say it here. A president I see that actively dislikes the Jewish state. In other words, he's been more anti-Israel than any president I can think of.
Yeah, I think that's right, because the president came in thinking if only he could make Israel act differently, we could get peace in the Middle East, instead of if only we can make the Arabs and the radicals and the Islamic terrorists act differently, we could have peace. That's the problem. His words in and of themselves are not objectionable. It's his actions in accompaniment of those words and the distance from Israel. But the real problem, Sean, is substance and policy. He failed to speak out and do anything when there was a chance to topple the Iranian regime in the spring of 2009 when they took to the streets by the millions. He failed to arm the Syrian moderates. He drew a red line and didn't enforce it. The president, time and time again, has allowed vacuums to form. He's done too little, too late. And when it comes to Israel and Iran, too little, too late can never be an option, because then there will be no more Israel.
All right, let me go.
And that's the problem. What we really need are tougher sanctions on Iran, and that's how you get an agreement.
You see, I agree with you, and Obama took that off the table. Now we've got mullahs dedicated to annihilating Israel, and the back end of this deal getting, you know, the ability, not only they have the centrifuges spinning, but now they're enriching uranium, and they've got the delivery system. So the very existence of Israel is on the line here.
But Sean,
and the International Atomic Energy Commission out of Vienna, they said that they're not even cooperating with the international inspectors. So we don't even know what they're doing. What are they hiding?
Good point.
Sean, the Iranians are now our effective allies in Iraq fighting ISIS. We don't have a global war on Islamic terror. We need that. It's the only way to defeat ISIS and save what you and I regard as the essence of our civilization. Let
me go to John Kerry, because I know he's in Geneva. I know he's with the Iranian prime minister or foreign minister, but he's actually saying that Israel's safer now. I don't think Israel's safer with its #1 enemy sworn to its destruction, potentially getting a nuke with a very bad deal. Here's what he said when he said to trust us. This is what he said.
We have a closer relationship with Israel right now in terms of security than at any time in history. Israel is safer today because of the interim agreement that we created. Israel is safer today, and that is the standard that we will apply to any agreement going forward. It is to guarantee that we will know that Iran cannot develop a nuclear weapon under the procedure that we're putting in place.
All right, my question, Ari, is I kind of looked this at after Munich. Neville Chamberlain told everybody, peace with honor, peace in our time. And Winston Churchill said, well, you're given a choice between war and dishonor. You chose dishonor, and you will have war. The way I look at it, we're living at a time, and tell me if you think my analogy is a little over the top, if it's right on, where Barack Obama's Neville Chamberlain or worse, and Prime Minister Netanyahu is Winston Churchill. And that I think this will be studied for hundreds of years. This could be a catastrophic mistake.
Sean, I hope you're wrong, but I fear you're right. And this is why we're at a very important moment in time. The Prime Minister's speech tomorrow is going to be very important for us to listen to, and the question will be, do the American people believe John Kerry that Israel is safer, or Prime Minister Netanyahu when he says Israel is at risk? And I think most Americans are going to believe the Prime Minister. And that's because of the folly of the Obama approach, and the Americans do not want to trust in Iran. And we know a nuclear agreement with Iran is only as good as their ability to honor it. And we have no faith that they're going to honor it. They never honor anything. They just kill our troops in Iraq. They undermine us everywhere around the Middle East, and they support terrorism everywhere. So why are we going to trust them now?
Sean, this isn't partisanship. This is bipartisanship. This is about the fate of the free world, Israel, and our democracy.
I agree totally. All right, guys, thank you for a great analysis. And coming up, as the Obama administration continues to negotiate with Iran, when we come back, Ainsley Earhardt, she's here with a startling report in history detailing what the rogue regime in Tehran has said in the past about the U.S. and Israel. You need to see this. And then later, outgoing Attorney General Eric Holder plays the race card. He was also asked about the White House's close relationship with the Reverend Al Sharpton. You won't believe his response. Plus, tonight, I propose the following things. I want to make sure, I would like to see the establishment and the Tea Party unite. Okay? Highlights from my speech at CPAC and much more. Stay with us.